Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast. I'm Lance Armstrong, joined by four crazy mofos who just finished rowing across the Atlantic. Before we get to that, today's show brought to you like it is each and every time by OURA Ring. Getting all my data, sleep data, activity data, recovery data, sleep cycles, respiratory rate, heart rate variability, all that stuff. Head on over to OURAring.com, OURA ring.com, and be like everybody else. You go get the ring. Company's on fire. All right, boys. So, I mean, it sounds dumb to say, but like, how you doing? Like, this must be, we all have these moments in life. It could be a diagnosis. It could be, some other, or it could be something great where you're just like, oh man, today is a different day. Like these days have to be so much different. And I don't even know where to start. I'm not even starting with you, Dixon, because I think it's lame that you're the only one that has shaved. Look at these other guys. These motherfuckers look like they rode across the Atlantic. You look like you just, flew down from LaGuardia and you're hanging out sipping cocktails. I mean, what's up, man? You don't even look like you did anything. So, Jimmy, let's start with you. How do you feel? You must feel amazing.
I think the elation of arriving on land is just unbelievable. That moment where you could see it, first of all, sunrise came up and you could see Antigua behind you. Like, wow, that's incredible. And then the welcome party that we had with boats coming out to meet us and guide us in was something else. And you just get that spur of energy for the final assault.
I'm getting chills hearing about it. Now, how far, I've been on some boats where you kind of go out fishing and then all of a sudden you don't see land. I mean, how far away from Antigua, like in at least guesstimate, that you could see it? Is that a mile? Is that 50 miles? When do you finally see land?
Well, our last night, we rode through the night, and you may have seen, we actually had one of our best days on the last day. So we rode 91 miles in the last 24 hours. So we were going pretty fast. And the first time we think we saw Antigua was probably around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I think we were about 40 miles out. And we could just see lights in the distance, kind of, almost like light pollution, because it was pitch black. And then as Jimmy said, as the sun rose, we were about 25 nautical miles from Antigua, and we could just see the outline. And, every hour we get closer and closer, and you could see houses, you could see boats. It was a pretty amazing experience seeing land for the first time.
And for those y'all watching on YouTube or whatever, you can see, so behind Todd, Antigua, a lot of these islands, you think of sort of Caribbean islands are really flat. The Bahamian islands very flat. Antigua's actually got some elevation. I've been down there and actually ridden a lot down there, and there's some decent climbs, but so that obviously helps, right? You get something that's, I don't know, the highest point in Antigua is probably, 600 or 700 feet, which for a little island is pretty high down there. So that helps. I would think see it. If this is the Bahamas, you might not see it until you hit it. And then, I want to cover this because it was so crazy the last time we talked, this whole marlin episode. And I've been telling everybody this story, like, you're not going to believe what happened to these guys. Like a fucking marlin ran into the boat. Who does that? But then apparently it happened to somebody else. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, exactly. It happened to another team called Generation Gap, although I don't think it was nearly as severe as what had happened to us. And then I think I had heard yesterday that it happened to a solo again. So, and for them, that the marlin bill didn't get actually lodged into the cabin. I think it went in and out, and they were able to fix it. So I think 3 marlin encounters in one race is unheard of. Before we had been attacked, this had only happened once before. So it's extremely rare for something like this to happen. And Lance, as you know, we still had after we had the marlin attack, we still had 1,000 miles still to row. So when the cabin started filling with water and Jimmy and John got to work patching it up with epoxy resin, there were definitely concerns as to whether or not it would hold, because by no means were we at the finish line. We still had a solid probably 12 or so days to go in the race.
Now remind me again, who was asleep? Because if you, and for those listening or watching, go on y'all's Instagram and you can see this is the picture. I mean, it is 1,000 words. Who remind me who was sleeping there where this bad boy decided to stick his nose through?
That was me, Lance. Fast asleep an hour into my off, and then the rude awakening with this coming up through the.
That's unbelievable.
through the hole.
Now, hang on. I don't want to get dark here, but Jimmy, and where? Like, show us where. I see the thing. Where did it get? Like, was it near your leg, near your head, near your? What?
I'll stand up, and it came through the bed and through my thigh like that.
Unbelievable. Now, what happens? Now, let's talk about this. What would happen if that came through and hit you? You know, if you were sleeping on your stomach and that clocked you right in the heart, this is a bad story, right?
Absolutely. I think Jono and I, when we were patching up, we looked at each other, and we've both been in the British Army, and we've seen a fair few injuries in our times in Afghanistan and what have you, and we realized that actually this had gone in anywhere. If in heart or chest, even a thigh, it wouldn't have been good news, because the catastrophic bleed and the size of it would have meant it was probably game over. And we're just thankful that we didn't have to deal with that added complexity.
I can't. I mean, guys, think about that. That's. I mean, you have all these things out there that that we've talked about at the very beginning. That's mind-boggling to think that. I mean, the luck or the bad luck or the chances, dude. Oh, Jono, how you doing, man? You're sitting over there. I want to hear what's up. How you feeling?
Like the other guys, I'm just enjoying being in Antigua, being on firm ground. The arrival was fantastic. It was so awesome. We were just popping flares and hugging each other. I'm sure you saw some of the photos flying around, and great reception. Got onto land. All struggling to walk a bit. The sort of the land kind of the land sickness kind of hit us. But straight into the. As you'd expect, Lance, you'd be proud. Straight into a bar, straight on the beers. We had some very, very friendly supporters provide us with a magnum of Bollinger to kind of as a first drink, which was obviously brilliant. And then straight on it, just loving being on dry land. And that first night, collapsed into bed and slept for about 11 hours solid. Slept like the dead. Haven't slept like that. I can't even remember when I last did. So just enjoying it now, and we all lost a lot of weight, and our sort of body fat percentage all kind of plummeted. So we're all kind of busy refueling with beers, burgers, ice cream, you name it, pizza, curries, just trying to put a bit of weight back on, and then enjoying a bit of a guns free in terms of diet at the moment, which is quite nice.
So much for easing back in. But when you say losing weight, because I can see you guys, I mean, it's visible, the weight loss. How much are we, just for the listener? Give us actually, let's go just down the line and tell us, again, 34 days or whatever days later, starting weight and finishing weight, because it looks pretty extreme.
Yeah, so I can kick it off. I had weighed. So I think actually you lose a little bit of weight in La Gomera when you start, because you're definitely not eating as much, and I don't think the food's necessarily as healthy in the 12 days that you're prepping in La Gomera before you push off. So I was about 182 pounds kind of going into La Gomera. Right before the race, I weighed in at right around 177, and when we got to land, I now weigh about 163.
Wow.
So, and my body fat percent dropped to 6.7%, down from right around 10%. So, and my BMI, interestingly, was high enough that indicated that I'm actually not underweight, which was interesting. But anyway, yeah, obviously from basically the day before the race to the time I left was 14 pounds, but really I would put it more at probably 17 or 18 pounds from the time that I left the U.S. until the time that I got back to Antigua.
Wow. Todd, how about you?
So I was 220 pounds going into the race, and about 13.5% body fat. And I finished the race a little over 20 pounds down, so just under 200 pounds. And my body fat was down to about 9%. So yeah, I dropped about 4% body fat and about 22 pounds of weight. Yeah, my fiance is pretty happy. So, I think she wants me to stay this way, but I'm not sure Antigua life is conducive to that.
Listen, let's not give these wives and girlfriends and partners and people out there any ideas, okay? Let's not give them any ideas. They're like, look at these they look like they're in a boy band. Okay. They've been with their partner forever. They're bored with them. And they see you, the boy band here. Okay. And they're like, why don't you go row across the Atlantic, Lance? I want you to look like these guys. So ladies or guys or whoever, don't get any ideas. Okay. We're not doing that. There's a select few people crazy enough to do this. Jono, how about you? How much you lose?
So apologies, it's going to be metric, but so I was 85 kilos going in, and 77 kilos coming out, my body fat percentage took a bit of a hit. I was about 11% going in, and then they put the machine on sort of the day after we arrived, and it came up with error at first, and then it landed on about 4.4% body fat. So. My weight was okay, but the sort of the proportion of fat kind of, to weight really took a bit of a hit. I'm working on that now, which is good fun.
Yeah, you look like you're ready for the tour. I see. Look at the guns on the man. You got that vein going there. I mean, this guy is you might have some teams calling you. Jimmy, how about you? Where are we at?
So being the oldest man in the team, I was allowed to carry a little bit more weight.
But by the way, you look like the oldest too. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I love you too as well, Lance. So I was weighing in at 200 pounds when I started and 15.5% body fat. And then I finished on 180 pounds and 9.9% body fat. So yeah, the weight has been made up now on the beard and the hair, definitely. But my question for you, Lance, what was your body fat when you were in kind of prime racing? What were you down to? It was probably in those really low numbers as well. Yeah,
we were, always. Cycling's interesting. You obviously want to be as light and as lean as possible. But it's a sport with a bunch of elements too. So there's this fine line. I mean, if I was 4% at the tour, so that means you start the season at 7 or 8 or 9%. At the tour, I like to be right around 4%. You don't want to be too, let's just call it exposed, because the tour is 3 weeks. If you start in the north of France, you could still have, even in early July, you could have weather, not terrible weather, but you could have a day with wind and rain and 50 degrees. And that's, you see it all the time, guys that are just too lean, that can't handle even just a 50 degree wet day. And bam, if you get sick in the first week, it's tough. You can't recover from that sometimes. So I don't know. I like to start the tour. It's at right around 74 kilos. So what is that? Just about 163 pounds, which is heavy for a cyclist. I mean, there's some of these guys are like horse, like jockeys. They're 125, 130, but I could never really ever, my whole career, shed that swimmer body that I got from when I was 12 or 13 years old. So now, let's be honest. Okay. There had to be some moments out there where you're like, you know what? I fucking hate these guys. Like, there had to be times where you're just like, get me off this. There had to be some fights there. I don't want to spend much time on this, but I'd be fighting. I'd be like, Jimmy's bugging me. Dixon's Dixon's a spoiled brat. Okay. Why are we out here? There had to be these moments, right? And now it's all good. I can see the vibe. There had to be moments where they're like, you know what? I don't ever need to see you again.
There were a couple of moments, at least. I think, you know that you don't want to let the small things get to you, and you don't want to have a huge argument, and you don't want to make it worse. Everyone is focused on just getting to the finish. So there is a bit of a balance. And I think I was more tolerant than I usually am on land, just because I knew we needed to stay together as a team. Jimmy and I were both in the stern cabin together. And so we were responsible for all the navigation, all the comms, changing the autopilot, which would steer us. And so whenever we had a changeover, we discussed the navigation. We discussed whether we should be coming up on our course over ground or coming down. Should we change the auto helm? Should we not? And there were a few times where, I think I was probably pretty short with Jimmy. He was the same with me. There were a few times where we'd get pissed off with each other. I'd be short with Jimmy, or he'd be like that with me, and I'd probably let that sit for 2 hours, maybe on my shift or on the next shift, and then I'd be like like an apologizing husband or wife, and be like, Jimmy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, I was just tired, and Jimmy would be, I'm sorry too, it's all good. So yeah, there'd be a few times like that, but we didn't have too many big arguments. I don't think in general.
Lance, the best way that I can describe it is, imagine going into your backyard, right, and taping out an area that's 28 feet by about 3.5, 4 feet wide, and pick 3 friends, and then you can't leave your backyard. You can't leave that area that's taped out for 36 days. And in the middle of it, you're dealing with extreme sleep deprivation, never sleeping for more than, call it, an hour and 45 minutes. You're working out every 2 hours. You're dealing with extreme heat, storms, dehydration, hunger, and everything else that Mother Nature can throw at you that might be unexpected, and you can't get off. So just if you're in that situation, then inevitably, I think tempers will get frayed at different points, but and you'll get frustrated with each other. But I think, to walk away with this, though, being friends and still talking to each other, and as Todd said, not having had any major blowups where the deck knives get used on each other, I think is a pretty big win. So all in all, it I think worked out for the best. But yeah, there are definitely some tense moments, since I think we're all pretty strong-willed individuals as well.
Yeah. Jimmy, were you going to say something? I think you had something.
Yeah, I think you've got to put that all to bed as well, because when the storm comes in and you're on the power anchor, the big parachute that you put in the water, which we had to do twice for a 2-hour period and a 4-hour period, you're both in the cabin then. And certainly Todd and I are in the stern, and Jono and Dixon up in the bow. They have a little bit more room. It's still pretty uncomfortable, but you've got to be big spoon and little spoon. So any grudges you've got to have buried before that stage happens. I tell you now.
Wait, so you guys, this is okay. Hang on. It's just there's always something with y'all. Okay, I couldn't handle the whole naked thing.
Yeah, well, your naked boss doing this as well.
Holy cow. Well, it's been great having y'all. Now, let's talk about the competitive side. You guys finished second. How far behind? What was the team who won? They were Shoulders of Giants.
Exactly, on Shoulders of Giants was the
how far behind those guys were you?
I think we ended up being about 80 or so miles behind them.
Yeah,
and we lost. And in the beginning, what do you estimate you lost in the beginning with the snap door and then the other? I guess if you just let's combine. And I'm not a big excuse guy, but I want to just break this down between that first incident, which seemed like it took a lot of time, the snap door, yada yada, and then the marlin episode. I mean, if you combine those two, how many you're close, right? I mean, you got to be. That's a day, so that feels like those things cost you at least a day.
Yeah, so I would say actually probably through the first, call it week and a half, 2 weeks, we were, I would say, marginally ahead of on Shoulders. We were kind of going back and forth, but I think at one point we had maybe 10 miles on them. And then we actually, what caused the real separation was they had started going more south of us. So the 3 teams in the race class division that we were or I guess really the 2 teams that we were primarily competing against were on Shoulders of Giants and HPF Atlantic. HPF took a slightly more northerly route. We were in the middle. on Shoulders of Giants ended up going more south. And so if you go more south, typically you're hoping for stronger trade winds, but it is a longer route. So it's a gamble to go that far south because you really need to guarantee yourself or really hope that if you do go that extra distance and farther south, that the tailwinds are going to make up for that extra distance that you're going. And so what ended up happening was we were caught off guard by a weather system that moved through that was not on any sort of the weather maps that Angus, our weather router, had checked. So Jimmy and I were on the oars and everything was somewhat calm. And then all of a sudden we just got absolutely smacked by this massive storm that lasted for, I don't know what, 10 or so hours, where Jimmy and I ended up being on the oars for about 6 of those hours. And we were just getting absolutely pummeled by waves that were coming over the side of the boat, 40 plus mile an hour winds. It had started getting cold. We didn't have our foul weather gear on at the time. Todd was in the stern cabin dealing with all the navigation to make sure we stayed somewhat on course. Jono had been suffering at the time from some seasickness issues and was doing his best to help as well. So from when that happened, our obviously it was very tough to just manage the course that we were on. Our speed dropped, and on Shoulders of Giants had gone farther south. So they missed the storm entirely. And so essentially when we came through this 24-hour period, they had slingshot themselves around us and HPF Atlantic and then gained about 35 to 40 miles on us. So to their credit, they I would say probably had picked a better route, avoided the weather system, had more favorable tailwinds, and were able to slingshot around us in HPF Atlantic.
Okay, so are you happy with second place? And I'm going to ask John this question because I have a follow-up question about this whole seasickness thing. I'm obsessed with this. Is second satisfactory, or is there some disappointment? Is there some and I guess the ultimate question is there some desire to come back and do one better, which if y'all want to do that, good luck. But
I
go for it.
Very quickly, I don't think there's any desire to come back and have another go. Look, we went into this very much focused on winning it. So I can't speak for all the others, but personally, there is an element of disappointment. But we absolutely put everything we had into the race. There are just at the end of the day factors that are outside of your control, and I think those were the ones that as Dixon just kind of described, were the ones that potentially cost us a bit of time, a bit of distance, and a bit of speed. But we threw absolutely everything we had into the race, and there's nothing that we genuinely could not have done more. We were hugely focused on winning. We pushed ourselves as hard as we possibly could. So, to come out of it with second place, and also, looking at the second half of the race, to come out of it with second place, having had some of the kind of incidents we had, such as kind of the power failure, the snap for the day, the Marlin strike, it's pretty incredible. So, although perhaps there's a tinge of disappointment, I think overall, we felt we couldn't have done more, and it's just, an incredible thing to have done.
Jono, this, when Dixon alluded to the seasickness, is this, because I've been on just about fishing and I've started to get sick, and it's one of these things where at least in my experience, you just don't. I could never get better until you finally got home or got on land. And I mean, are we how sick? I mean, is this just like constantly sick, or are we talking a little queasy? I mean, what walk me through. I mean, how miserable, I guess, is the easiest way to say it.
Well, I mean, and look, it was something that we were all very nervous about going in. We all threw kind of the patches, these kind of medication patches you stick behind your ear. We all threw those on, from the start, and they were pretty effective. I was the only one who was, I think, hit by it in any real way. So I was the only one who was actually kind of throwing up from time to time. But it was really probably only the first kind of 10 to 14 days that it happened. And actually, the nausea wasn't too bad. It was just, just it would hit me in a wave, and then very quickly I'd just kind of stick my head out or stick my head over the side and just throw up. I was fine if I was on the oars. It was just kind of if I was in the cabin, not lying down or something, the nausea would hit me quite quickly. I think overall, and I'm pretty grateful for this, it wasn't as incapacitating as it could have been. So once it passed pretty well. We've heard some horror stories about people just, literally hugging a bucket for days on end, and there's, not being able to, eat, drink, or, be on the oars at all. So overall, for me, I think I got off quite lightly. There were a couple of funny times when, I was, during the storm at one point, just came out, to get on the oars, was talking to Jimmy in this sort of lull, and then just, just give me 1 sec, and then just threw up over the sun. And then resumed the conversation. And Jimmy sort of, looked at me and, "You okay?" Yeah, fine. Let's. What were we talking about? Overall, it was definitely manageable, because I know what you mean. It can be, it settles in, and that's you, right? Until you're back on land.
So there's no second attempt here. I know you said that, John. Was that the consensus amongst everybody that one and done?
No, never say never, Lance. But we may have announced our formal retirement from ocean rowing on the finish line. But there's always a price, isn't there?
But speaking of that, is there any prize money for this?
No, but there should be. It's a damn good idea.
This is crazy. Okay, everybody listening or watching, we need to sign a petition. I mean, you ask these folks, okay? And by the way, I was just looking at the website as John was talking. This poor girl who's out there all alone. There are a few people that do it alone. She's out there, and she's her. What is this sweet lady's name?
Jasmine from Rudderly Mad.
Jasmine. They are projecting, the website is projecting her finish to be March the 23rd. Okay, we're sitting here January 20th. She is out there all alone. She has 2 more months of this. So that's just the projected finish time. It could be longer. Now, and for the love of the game, no prize money? Okay, everybody, let's get together. Let's a little change.org petition. There's got to be some money on the line. This is too extreme.
Yeah, we wouldn't disagree with you on that.
And by the way, for the record, if there was $1 million to win, I wouldn't do it. There's no way. Y'all are crazy to do it for free. Man,
Lance, we obviously had so many conversations on board, but one of the ones we had was, how much would you have to be paid to get back on the boat and do this race again straight away? And let's just say most of the numbers were in the high $100,000s or millions of dollars. I think that was our mindset at the time, but never getting back on that boat.
And Lance, the other thing too that I'd add is for the soloists, and really, I think what's important to note is just regardless of what place you're finishing in this race. I mean, this is just. The race is just brutal. And so regardless of whether or not you're finishing in second place, you're finishing in last place. The fact is, if you're finishing in last place, that means you're out there for longer. And so the suffering, I think, is probably that much greater. And for the soloists in particular, who have only themselves powering the boat, they've had, the conditions have been incredibly challenging this year. I mean, again, to put it into context, the world record is 29 days, and they had average tailwinds of 27 miles an hour the entire time, pushing them towards Antigua. I think we had tailwinds for probably 5 to 7 days of the entire race that never reached 27 miles an hour. And instead we had headwinds, crosswinds, waves going in different directions. I mean, it was where we had dead calm days where it was extremely hot. We were worried about heat stroke and dehydration. And just trying to move the boat through the water was really backbreaking work. So add on top of that, we were working harder, and obviously our hunger levels increased. So I think for the solos, if they were facing headwinds and couldn't make forward progress, they would have to go on para anchor, which we mentioned in a prior podcast is a large parachute that you deploy. It fills up with water underneath the boat and essentially prevents you from moving backwards. And there have been multiple times where almost the entire fleet has had to go on para anchor. So at one point, it was us and 3 other teams that were far enough ahead of a weather system where all 17 other teams were on para anchor. And we had heard a stat that I think one of the soloists, I think it was Jasmine from Rudderly Mad, who, to her credit, is vying to become the youngest woman to ever row across the Atlantic Ocean. She spent, I think it was 5 days on para anchor. So just put that into, that's 5 days of just sitting on a boat, not being able to do anything, not being able to make forward progress, and you actually lose marginal amounts of distance because you are moving backwards, but it's at a very, very slow rate. So you're watching some of the progress you made evaporate. So again, mentally speaking, I can't even imagine being a solo out there. So again, a huge, huge testament to them, their mental resiliency and fortitude to power through something like this, even if it takes them up to 3+ months to do it.
And I still can't figure out this anchor thing. I mean, I'm not very smart. I just don't understand how you put something way down in the water and it holds you. That I think it's awesome, but I don't understand how that works. Just for the record. Now, how aware when you guys are out there? I mean, obviously, you've got the sat phone and you've got all the technology to help navigate. But how much? Like, how connected are you to, because there's been some crazy shit that happened in the world. I don't know if you guys are even aware of this as you're out there. We had these loons. Okay. These total fucking idiots raid our capital. This is, I mean, your normal people sitting at home on the corner of First and Main. You're like, wait a minute. Is this really happening? And it's just depressing as all hell. Are you guys aware of things like that, or is it or are you guys just focused? Because, I mean, and by the way, you could have been out there and 9/11 could have happened, for example. That would, but are you even connected to the real world and reality and news stories?
One of the big hurdles we had to overcome is that we were sponsored by Inmarsat and Advanced Tracking, and we were going to have full connectivity that we could have even done a Zoom call whilst mid-ocean. But unfortunately, when all of our power went down and everything, we lost that connectivity. And so that meant we actually had literally nearly zero comms apart from the satellite phone. And I think that was a huge mental hurdle to get over, because we were going to be getting WhatsApps from family, messages of encouragement, sending images back, and we would have stayed up to date on news and what have you. And to have that taken away so early on, which was really tough. But it meant actually we had the most amazing digital detox. Literally, there was nothing coming through other than when we phoned out. And I remember I phoned my father when it must have been the day after the Capitol Hill storming. And he said, right, I'll just give you a little 2 minutes of news of what's going on. And he talked about Brexit in Britain, and then the COVID, what's happening, and then the storming of Capitol Hill. And I turned to Dixon and I said, hey, mate, have you heard what's happened in the States? And he's like, no, and he couldn't believe it. And I was like, nor could we. And then when we arrived in Antigua, there's some amazing shots of us holding the flares with full beards, and everyone's like, you're a little bit late to the Capitol Hill party here, but looks like you're ready to go. But it is pretty weird to be that disconnected. No emails, no WhatsApps, you name it, just shut off. And actually, it was rather beautiful. And maybe in hindsight, it was a really good thing for all of us, because we lead such busy lives, and to have that quietness was great.
So you already gave all the partners out there an idea for how to get their significant other to lose 20 pounds and lose 5% in body fat. But you've now doubled down and given every parent out there. I watched, if you haven't seen this documentary, The Social Dilemma, as a parent, it'll rock your world. This addiction to devices and electronics and all of the reflexes that it causes. You've now given now all these parents are out there like, I think my kid's on his iPad or his iPhone too much. So now we've started a whole new movement. Now all the folks are out there. The parents are like, wait a minute. I think my 12-year-old needs to have a little digital detox, and he needs to go row across the Atlantic. Come on, guys. And again, you look like the Boys to Men or something now. I mean, that's not a band anymore. I shouldn't say that.
Love Boys to Men.
Yeah, you would, Dixon. You would.
You're right. It's an extreme solution, but it's an effective one.
Yeah, right. I actually put that part. I would actually, I think would be cool. How long are y'all going to be down there? I want Todd to answer. Just for the record, Todd has the best backdrop. Okay, this is you all look like you're living your best life right now, but Todd's background and scenery back there, that's money, right? You put some thought into that one.
So my fiance has actually been here since the 23rd of December. She was worried that she wouldn't get out here. So yeah, she's now fast becoming an Antigua resident and has a couple of friends here with her. But I actually spoke to my boss at work yesterday, and the first thing he said was, you need to stay in Antigua as long as possible. He said, there's no need to come back. You can work from there, work whenever you want. So yeah, I think there's a few of us. I know Jimmy and I are probably planning on staying for a few more weeks. So yeah, I'm fast enjoying becoming an Antiguan resident. I think Jono might be staying another week as well.
And we see that. I mean, look at the backdrop. That's. And by the way, the fiance, this is what a line. You know, I'm afraid. I'm worried. I'm with COVID, everything going on. I don't think I'll be there, so I'm going to go a month ahead of time. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I get there. So let me, honey, I'm here. Don't worry, it's all good. I got to meet her. This is
Antiguan boyfriend, which I'm more worried about.
This is she's got a tan. She's looking good. She's like, I want to make sure I was here. Now, Dixon, you know our buddy Martin. I just texted him while we were talking. He's coming down. If y'all are still there, he's coming down the 28th. He was there and then went back. He's in Miami now, but he's coming back the 28th. So I want to make sure, let's not forget, I want to connect you all with him. His place is over on a little island just off of Antigua called Jumbie Bay. But I want to make sure y'all get over there. And this guy has a spirit about him that I've never seen anybody enjoy life like him. So I want to make sure y'all get over there to Jumbie and have a couple cocktails and a nice meal at his place. It's this shit. I've never seen a place like this. So let's definitely hook that up. He and by the way, y'all should know he's been tracking the progress. He's a British guy too. So all you British dudes will get along well. But he says, let's be in Antigua for the rowers. I'm like, so oh God. Unreal. I'm proud of you guys. I didn't know what to expect. I got to be totally honest. I didn't know that if you'd all get there. I didn't know if some, obviously some crazy stuff happened, crazier than I had thought, but this is cool. This is cool. And I'm glad you guys look great. And fuck, if I was y'all, man, I don't know. I wouldn't do anything for like a decade. I'd be like, no, like 8 years ago, I rode across the Atlantic. I'm still not doing anything. So kiss my ass. That's what I would literally be thinking that.
My business partner's out here, Lance. So we're thinking of setting up the Polaris office in Antigua because, hell, why would we go back to lockdown in the UK?
And by the way, Jimmy, props to you for fixing your backdrop. Now you opened whatever you did and the champagne bottle. This is okay. Points. Real points for that. This is you guys are you're down on the what is it you're on the southern point there of the island because that's where the big marina or the big port is, right?
Southeast, so down English Harbour and Falmouth Harbour. Yeah. Dixon's slightly on the other side, and we're going up to his place tonight for a big dinner celebratory, which his parents are really kindly hosting, and yeah, we're looking forward to that. And we got a bit of a photo shoot as well later with Talisker to kind of see it. The final part.
I'm sure that you guys do have a photo shoot. You don't need to rub in the whole GQ thing you got going. All right, you're shooting your album cover. I know. By the way, anybody can make music now. With all the technology now, you could sing like, Scooby-Doo and you got a hit. I mean, just go with the look, shoot the album cover. Dixon even fixed his backdrop. Let's see. What do you have back there now, Dixon? Thank you.
Like that.
Yeah, this is, see? That, it really, maybe I need to get down there and hang with y'all.
Lance, we did have a fifth spot on the boat for you. So, when we do this again, you're in.
Yeah, I feel like I've done my job by talking to you guys once a week. That feels like the fifth. That's sort of my idea of the fifth man. I do think and we talked about this in the beginning, all of us that we do, there's just this ethos of what we do is, and it really is. You think of these extreme events and most people say, who would ever do that? And a lot of people say, well, we do, who wants to do that? We do. You guys took it to a whole nother level. So this is the craziest thing I've ever talked about. And really goes over the line for me, but we all know that. Let me get with maybe I need to come down there. I don't know. This looks too nice. I didn't like any of the shit I saw the last month, but now that I'm seeing this, I'm looking outside, guys, and it's just, there's white everywhere. And I hate, by the way, everybody knows I hate snow. All I see outside is snow. So it's kind of pulling at me.
Well, Lance, we have a lunch later today and a dinner tonight. So depending on how fast you can get here, open invite.
Yep. Yep. It's way down there, so it's not that fast. But let me work on that. I'm going to get with Martin, and I might make that happen. So, all right. Anything to add before I let you guys go enjoy life on solid, dry, non-moving land?
Lance, I think the only thing that I'd add is, importantly, the race is done. It's not just a masochistic feat of kind of self-flagellation, but it is a race that we do for charity. And so we did raise money for 4 charities, each that are near and dear to us individually. So we raised money for Achilles International, the Polaris Foundation, the Brian Cross Memorial Trust, and the Not Forgotten Association. And as of today, I think we've raised somewhere around $250,000 and counting. Right. And so I think we're extremely proud of the fact that we did raise that amount of money, and friends and family and others have very generously continued to contribute well past us finishing on Sunday. So again, we'd be happy to share more information. Our Instagram account, for those who don't know, is LAT35 Atlantic Challenge 2020. Please give us a follow. We've been posting updates there, not only about the race itself, but about our charities as well. So for anyone that is interested in learning more about them, would direct you there, and feel free to message us. We would be more than happy to respond. But all in all, there are so many people to thank. The list goes on and on, from coaches to family and friends who supported us through this batshit crazy adventure, to our sponsors, to Lance, even you supporting us on this journey. So we really, it takes a village, and while you see the 4 of us on screen here, there are there are hundreds of other people that have been incredibly helpful and generous, and helped us not only get to the start line, but helped us accomplish our goal of finishing this thing and finishing it in a really strong place. So to everyone that has been involved, we really can't thank you enough, and hope to have a beer with many of you soon.
Yep. So you didn't break the world record for the race, or for the Atlantic, but you do have the world record for the longest Instagram handle of all time. But I want to say it again, because this is not lost on me, and I know our listeners, it's not lost on them. $250,000, $250,000, that's a ton of money. We sort of poked fun at no prize money, but that is prize money. $250,000 to 4 great organizations. Obviously, or I'm guessing you each picked your charity of choice. But I want to just let me try to get through this Instagram handle again. So say it again. Somebody say it again.
Yeah.
LAT30.
Exactly. So LAT35 Atlantic Challenge 2020. It's a mouthful, but
couldn't we have gotten something easier? But nonetheless, LAT35 Atlantic Challenge 2020.
Yep.
Okay.
Bingo.
And you guys and gals listening, if you could just head over there. Look, the boys just spent 34 days at sea, or whatever, month plus at sea, defying all the odds. And if it pulls on any heartstring, just head on over and support these great charities, and that's the prize money, right?
Yeah.
So. Or send beer, send burger, whatever you want to send down there. all you ladies watching, you see these guys, don't get any idea. They all, I think, have significant others, so don't get any ideas with the boy band here. But what a feat. What if y'all are crazy? This is crazy. And I'm glad to hear that you don't want to do it again, because then I would think you're truly crazy. But go enjoy yourselves. This has been fun to watch. I was tracking it every day. And actually, I'm going to keep tracking it because I'm obsessed with these people that are out there for 2 more months. That's heroic. So go enjoy yourselves. This has been a blast, and hopefully I can get down there soon and we'll catch up, have a cold beer, and that'd
be great.
Yeah, stay healthy.
Look forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah, look at these backdrops.
Here for a while, so, yeah.
These backdrops are this is amazing. Amazing. All right, boys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Lance.
Thanks,
Have fun. Thanks, Lance.
Have a good one.
See you, boys.
Yeah.